I'm better than a 20-year-old for health. I think a lot of that's due to my new diet that I've adopted because I can just see things getting better and better over time.
Meet Dr. David Sinclair, a professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School. This is Dr. Sinclair in 2013, and this is him now. He was 44 years old then, and now he is 54, but to me, he actually appears younger over the years. The professor has altered his diet and lifestyle, and scientifically, he claims that his body has become younger.
I've looked at my blood biochemistry and I'm actually now younger and healthier than I've ever been. Testosterone, glucose, inflammation, blood cell composition. For most of those markers, I'm better than a 20-year-old for will live that long because the technology is just going so quickly. And remember, they're going to live into the 22nd century. Who knows what that's going to be like? We can only imagine. I mean, I'm not worried about my own death. I mean, I'm not a fan of being a burden on my kids or suffering, but I really don't mind. If I die tomorrow, I'm not going to cry about it. I live my life like every day is a blessing and I'm happy to have every day. Now, if you forced me to give you a number, I'd love to live beyond 100. I wouldn't say no to 120 and I wouldn't say no to 150. And I wouldn't say no to 1,000 years. 1,000 years isn't that much, actually, geologically speaking. I'm 50 years old now. That's just 20 times my lifetime. I would love to live centuries. I don't think it's likely. I think eventually people will. Let's say I have high levels of the FU gene, and I do like to show the naysayers to be wrong. I would love to be able to live to 130 just so I could say, hey, remember when you said it was impossible? You know, that's my rebellious gene in me. But
In this video, we will dive straight into Dr. Sinclair's scientific discoveries in 5 parts. First, the exercise rules for longevity. Second, the most important eating habit for longevity. Third, the foods he consumes for longevity. Fourth, the daily supplements he takes. Lastly, the foods he avoids for longevity. By leading a healthy life, you can slow the rate of aging, prevent the corruption of the body's software, and even reboot it. Dr. Sinclair's advice on exercise is simple. Exercise 3 times a week and push yourself to lose your breath. You should be moving so fast that it becomes difficult to carry on a conversation. This state of hypoxia, or low oxygen, is thought to be a strong stimulator of beneficial stress on the body. In response, your body builds muscle, improves blood flow, and releases chemicals from your tissues that slow aging. By losing your breath for just 10 minutes, 3 times a week, you can experience remarkable health benefits, including a 30% reduction in disease rates. The most important eating habit for longevity, according to Dr. Sinclair, is to eat less often. It's not just about what you eat, but also when you eat. Constantly eating 3 meals a day, plus snacks, can accelerate aging. He prefers to eat within a 6-hour window, often skipping meals and eating one large, healthy vegan meal at dinner. The science behind time-restricted feeding, or intermittent fasting, is that the periods of not eating help boost the body's defenses against aging. This fasting activates autophagy, the body's process of recycling proteins, and turns on specific genes, such as the sirtuins, which defend against damage that causes aging. Extended periods of fasting are beneficial for deep cleansing of the body. Diseases like type 1 diabetes, multiple sclerosis, and even cancer seem to benefit from fasting, especially when combined with treatments like chemotherapy. Dr. Sinclair suggests practical tips for intermittent fasting. Staying hydrated with fluids like coffee, tea, or hot water throughout the day can help curb hunger. A small amount of protein, such as nuts, can also alleviate hunger. He recommends fasting for at least 16 hours, leaving an 8-hour window for eating. After a few weeks of fasting, your liver adapts by producing glucose through gluconeogenesis, overcoming hunger. This helps prevent the spikes and crashes of glucose that can lead to hunger after large meals. By the 3rd week, your liver maintains a steady glucose level, reducing the need for frequent meals.
This is preventing us from realizing the lives we could actually live. So, you know, my grandmother, Vera, she's an amazing lady. She saved lives in World War II. She escaped persecution from Hungary and fled to Australia. She had a wonderful sense of humor, a love of life, and she spent a lot of time raising me. And she never wanted me to call her grandma, only Vera, because she hated the idea of growing old. But since then, I've watched her grow old. She's watched herself grow old too, and she used to apologize to me for it. A few months ago, I heard that she fell over in her apartment and she broke the top off her femur. She went straight to hospital. They operated on her. Her heart stopped in the operation. And I arrived in Sydney with my son, Ben, 5 years old, to say goodbye to her. She was there, just a shell of the woman she once was. She had a feeding tube coming out her nose. She barely knew who anybody was. And I thought, this thing we call aging, why aren't we up in arms about it? And this once vibrant woman reduced to this. It's incredible. And this is just my story, but this is being played out every day in everybody's family. It's certainly not an isolated case. In fact, I don't want to be a downer, but this or something like it is going to happen to all our loved ones, including all of us. And that's actually the best case scenario. So why aren't we doing more about it? Well, I think we all know that aging is important. For example, the World Health Organization recently put out a report, 32-page report, saying that aging is one of the biggest problems of our generation. Unless we do something to keep the elderly healthy and productive, the cost is going to crush national infrastructures, and our way of life, our economies, are going to fall. And this is what the governments are saying. But what you may not realize is a fraction of just 1% of medical research is devoted to understanding why we age, and even less is devoted to trying to do something about it. And this, to me, is a major puzzle. What I think is going on is that we just don't like to think about it. It's really quite weird. I noticed many of you chuckled when I was introduced. I think we're just ingrained to really not want to talk about it. We feel uncomfortable, embarrassed talking about extending lifespan and delaying aging. For many people, it's even sacrilegious. I once debated the bioethics advisor to President George W. Bush on national radio. His point to the audience and to me was, aging is natural. It's part of the way of life. In fact, it makes life worth living. What a load of bull. Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer, these are natural, and we do everything we can to prevent and slow these diseases down. 99% of medical research is devoted.
Dr. David Sinclair's approach to eating for longevity focuses primarily on plant-based foods and choosing what he calls stress plants. He transitioned to an almost entirely plant-based diet, which has helped him feel better, improve his skin, and enhance his memory. His diet is centered on the concept of xenohormesis, which suggests that stressed plants, such as those grown organically or in harsh conditions, produce polyphenol that activate beneficial cellular responses in the body, leading to improved health and longevity. Some key components of Dr. Sinclair's diet include plant-based foods. He focuses on consuming colorful vegetables like bright red, purple, and dark green varieties that are rich in polyphenol. These compounds can trigger the body's defenses, slow aging, and improve overall health. Resveratrol and polyphenol. Molecules like resveratrol, found in red wine, along with other polyphenols such as quercetin and fisetin, are known to activate pathways in the body that are associated with health and longevity. Sinclair's research shows these compounds can significantly improve lifespan and physical fitness. Stress foods. Sinclair prioritizes plants that have been grown under stressful conditions, such as organic or wild-grown produce. He believes that consuming these stressed plants transfers their protective benefits to those who eat them. Green tea. Every morning, Dr. Sinclair drinks matcha tea, which is rich in polyphenol and has strong anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer properties. The compound EGCG in green tea is especially beneficial for long-term health. Spinach and leafy greens. Spinach is one of his top choices for leafy greens, providing essential nutrients such as iron and various vitamins. Leafy greens, in general, are a big part of his diet. Olive oil. He uses olive oil frequently for cooking, as it's a staple in the Mediterranean diet and contains oleic acid, which helps activate beneficial enzymes in the body. Mediterranean and Okinawan diets. For those who may find a fully vegetarian diet challenging, Sinclair recommends the Mediterranean or Okinawan diets, which are largely plant-based but may include some fish and healthy fats. He followed these diets for many years before transitioning to a completely plant-based approach. His focus on plant-based, stress-induced foods has helped him maintain his health and promote longevity, and he believes these dietary principles can have a profound impact on slowing down the aging process. Dr. David Sinclair takes 3 key supplements daily to support health and longevity, although he emphasizes that he does not endorse any specific brand or sell supplements himself. Resveratrol. This compound, found in red wine and grapes, is one of the most well-known supplements Sinclair takes. He consumes 1 gram of resveratrol mixed with a bit of yogurt each morning. Resveratrol is believed to activate sirtuin enzymes, which are linked to anti-aging processes. NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide. NMN is a form of vitamin B3 that helps boost levels of NAD+, a molecule crucial for energy production and activating sirtuins. As we age, NAD+ levels decline, but taking NMN can restore them to youthful levels. Early studies have shown health benefits like lowered cholesterol and blood pressure. Metformin. Originally used to treat type 2 diabetes by regulating blood sugar, metformin has been found to have broader benefits for longevity. Research suggests it may protect against cardiovascular disease, frailty, and Alzheimer's disease, even in people without diabetes. However, since it's classified as a drug, it's slightly more controversial compared to supplements. Sinclair credits these supplements with boosting the body's natural defenses against aging. Dr. David Sinclair emphasizes that the top food he avoids for longevity is sugar, particularly glucose and fructose. Here's why he cuts it out. Sugar's harmful effects. High sugar intake, especially fructose, can lead to conditions like fatty liver disease and diabetes. It also accelerates aging by attaching to proteins in the body, a process Sinclair likens to caramelization. Blood sugar and longevity. Sinclair points out that blood sugar levels are one of the best predictors of long-term longevity. High blood sugar is linked to various health issues, including cancer, since cancer cells thrive on sugar. Fruit and fruit juice. While fruit is often considered healthy, Sinclair cautions against consuming too much, particularly fruit juices, which can cause sharp spikes in blood sugar. Alternatives to sugar. Sinclair suggests using natural sweeteners like monk fruit or stevia as healthier alternatives to traditional sugar. These sweeteners help satisfy cravings without causing the negative effects associated with high sugar consumption. Though he largely avoids sugar, Sinclair acknowledges that indulging occasionally is fine in moderation, such as having a small amount of ice cream occasionally. The second top food that Dr. David Sinclair avoids for longevity is bread, particularly carbohydrates like toast. Here's why he cut it out. Impact on glucose levels. Dr. Sinclair used to eat bread daily, but found that cutting it out improved his biochemistry, especially his glucose levels. Bread, especially when eaten for breakfast, causes a sharp spike in blood sugar, followed by a crash due to the body's insulin response. Avoiding blood sugar crashes. The spike and subsequent crash lead to hypoglycemia, which triggers hunger and cravings soon after eating. This cycle of blood sugar fluctuations causes brain fog, shakiness, and tiredness. By cutting out bread and similar carbohydrates, Sinclair maintains a steady glucose level, leading to better focus and mental clarity throughout the day. The third top food Dr. David Sinclair avoids for longevity is meat. Here's why. Cholesterol and triglyceride reduction. Cutting out meat further improved Dr. Sinclair's health markers, such as lowering cholesterol and triglyceride levels. This was particularly important for him due to his family history of heart disease. Longevity benefits from plants. While he enjoys meat, Dr. Sinclair notes that plants provide a better impact on longevity. Plant proteins have an amino acid ratio that stimulates longevity genes like sirtuins and mTOR, which are crucial for combating aging. Meat in moderation. While Dr. Sinclair recommends focusing on a plant-based diet, he isn't entirely against meat. He acknowledges the benefits of fish for its omega-3 fatty acids but advises eating meat only occasionally. Third change was the dairy.
Plants, if you can.
Third change was the dairy. I did that just to see what would happen. I figured it wouldn't matter. I'm not allergic to dairy. I'm not lactose intolerant. But it did have an effect. It made things even better. And what I think is going on, Shane, is that I was eating a large amount of protein, not just fat, but eggs and all that stuff. And now that I have less protein, I think that mTOR pathway that's really important for longevity, in animals and probably people is really kicking in a way that had never done so.
The fifth food Dr. David Sinclair avoids for longevity is alcohol. Here's why. Recent research on alcohol. Over the last 2 years, new studies suggest that daily alcohol consumption is detrimental to health, prompting Dr. Sinclair to eliminate it from his diet. If you can't give it up, for those who still want to drink wine, Dr. Sinclair recommends choosing stress-sensitive grape varieties like Pinot Noir, which contains higher levels of resveratrol, a compound believed to support longevity.